On the night before D-Day, the BBC read a poem on the radio. German intelligence knew it was a warning, and still the invasion went ahead. June 6, 1944, the largest amphibious invasion in human history. More than 156,000 Allied troops crossed the English Channel to land in Nazi-occupied France. But the success of Operation Overlord depended on something invisible: signals, simple, precise, and deadly serious. The BBC and the Poetry Code. In London, the British Broadcasting Corporation ran a nightly French-language radio service. To most listeners, it was news, music, and culture. To the French resistance, it was a command channel. The signals were hidden inside what the BBC called personal messages. Hundreds of short, meaningless phrases were read aloud each evening. Messages like, "Jean has a long mustache," "There is a fire at the barber shop." Each meant nothing unless you were trained to hear it. On June 1, 1944, the BBC broadcast a line from a 19th century poem by Paul Verlaine, "Les sanglots lents des violons de l'automne," the long sobs of the violins of autumn. This was not poetry. It was a warning. To resistance networks across France, it meant prepare for imminent invasion. Sabotage operations were about to begin. Then, on June 5, 1944, at 9:15 p.m., the BBC read the second line, "Blesse mon cœur d'une langueur monotone," wound my heart with a monotonous languor. This message had only one meaning: the invasion would begin within 24 hours. Across France, resistance fighters went into action. Railways were cut, telephone lines destroyed, bridges damaged. German troop movements slowed exactly when speed mattered most. The Germans heard the signals too. This was not invisible to the enemy. German intelligence units monitoring the BBC recognized the poem. The Abwehr, Germany's military intelligence service, had previously identified it as a resistance code. Warnings were sent up the chain of command, but the response was slow. Some officers believed it was a diversion. Others thought the invasion would come at Pas de Calais, not Normandy. By the time the meaning was taken seriously, Allied troops were already in the air. Signals in the sky. Airborne operations. Just after midnight on June 6th, Allied paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines. They faced chaos, darkness, cloud cover, anti-aircraft fire. To survive, they needed recognition signals that worked instantly. American paratroopers, especially the 101st Airborne Division, carried small metal clickers known as crickets. One click meant "Who's there?" Two clicks meant friendly. No words, no light, just sound. It prevented deadly friendly fire encounters in the dark fields of Normandy. British and American Pathfinder units used more advanced technology. They deployed Eureka radar beacons on the ground. Incoming aircraft carried Rebecca receivers. Together, they guided troop transports to their correct drop zones by radio signal alone. It was cutting-edge technology for 1944, and it worked. Signals at sea. At sea, secrecy mattered just as much. Naval commanders used prearranged signal lights, flags, and radio codes to coordinate landings across 5 separate beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Radio silence was enforced until the last possible moment. Every transmission risked detection. Even the invasion date itself was hidden behind signals. On June 4, bad weather delayed the operation. Then, in the early hours of June 5, General Dwight Eisenhower made the final decision to go. The order was sent. The signal chain activated. There would be no turning back. The most powerful invasion force in history didn't begin with gunfire. It began with a poem on the radio. The Germans heard the warning. They just didn't believe it in time. On D-Day, victory didn't depend on secrets staying hidden, but on whether anyone acted when the signal finally came.